Welcome back to the show. Well, we love introducing our viewers to the great artists that we have here in our community. You just met J.W. Jones, and now I get to introduce you to another fabulous artist that's part of an organization called MASC, who we've had on the show many times before, but I'll let Kathryn Patricia tell you more about it. She joins us. Kathryn Patricia, Cobbler, arts educator over at MASC. Welcome. Great to have you here, Kathryn Patricia.
Thanks so much.
For those that, as I said, we've had MASC on many times in the past, but for those that aren't familiar with MASC, tell us a little about the organization.
Yeah, so I have a pleasure of being one of the artists on their roster, and so they send artists into schools and community groups to do workshops and concerts.
So what's that like? What are the benefits of those in attendance, do you think?
You know, I think that there's something magical about going into a community and into a space, and so I always love going into schools and doing concerts and just being able to connect with the students there.
Yeah, what's the response been like?
I just had a concert actually a few weeks ago in a school, and there were these few girls afterwards. They came up to me and they said, you know, watching you play made me want to be able to play the violin as well. And so I just love hearing those interactions from the students.
Well, you mentioned the violin that you play, so tell me a little bit about sort of your musical journey and how you connected with that particular instrument.
Yeah, so I started on the violin at the age of 7 when I was growing up. The rule in my house is that we all had to play an instrument.
Okay.
I later switched to the viola, which is almost like a bigger version of the violin. It has a lower sound, almost like an alto in a choir.
Okay.
And so when I had transitioned to that, I started playing with this device called a loop pedal, which allows me to make it sound like there's more than one of me as I'm playing.
That must be pretty cool. I've seen it on the guitar,
yeah,
like many times, right? A lot of musicians, I guess, yes, have started using it. I haven't seen it a lot, with a classical instrument. When did you start implementing that?
Yeah, I think that was about 5 years ago,
okay,
and it's been just a great part of my musical practice to explore that.
Well, we have a little example here, so we're gonna just you stay right there. We're gonna just give it an example of some of your great performance here. Let's have a look. That is pretty cool. So that's really an example of you using, right, that ability. Has it really, I guess it must have changed the way that you're able to perform now, right, in front of audiences.
Yeah, exactly. I think that when I perform with a loop pedal, I try to mimic that of a string quartet, with each new voice having its own character or voice.
So how many can you do multiple different loops then?
Yeah, I mean, essentially you can do as many as you would like.
So you can be like a 13-string orchestra all on your own, just using that loop pedal.
Yes, precisely.
That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. You have a new holiday program that you've begun that's running through 2022-2023. Tell me about the inspiration behind this.
Yeah, so this program is called Sounding Light. And when I think about this time of year, we're all coming together, but we all celebrate different holidays. And right, I wanted really a concert that we could celebrate and welcome in the season while finding points of connection within it.
Okay, so what does that look like exactly, that style of concert that you're talking about?
Yeah, so oftentimes when I'm composing and writing music for a concert, I'm really inspired by words or images, and so this concert centers around the idea of the changing constellations of the season and the history of gift giving.
So do you compose your own music?
I do, yes.
So what's that process like? Because for somebody like me, I'm a huge fan of music. I love going to see live, but I just don't have that, in me, that ability. What is that process like for, writing music?
Yeah, I think that it can come in many forms. For me, sometimes sometimes I'll get like a melody stuck in my head, almost like you know, like an earworm, and it won't go away. And then I find that if it continues to stay, then I'll follow it, and then I'll use it in my own composition. And sometimes it might be whether I went to go see another concert, or you know, if there's a beautiful day outside and I'm inspired by the weather and nature. So I think that inspiration can come in many forms.
And do you write that out by hand, or is it just all by memory that it happens?
I like to perform live. I feel like it helps me to connect with my audiences, but then I also, you know, I will release sheet music as well, just in case others would like to play the music.
We were talking to J.W. Jones about, you know, lockdowns and the pandemic. What was that like for you as an artist?
You know, I think at first, like many of us, it was really scary and trying to figure out, you know, how do we move forward? But I also was really encouraged by everyone's creativity to be able to say, well, what does this look like? And even though, you know, online will never replace that in-person interaction and that energy, it was just really encouraging to see how audiences engaged in online concerts.
Well, and how innovative artists were as well, right? I mean, you had artists from around the world being able to perform together. I mean, we'd seen it before, but not necessarily to this extent. There are so many benefits, you know, when it comes to the arts. Well, what do you think some of the benefits are for those that are just interested in general? What advice would you give to somebody?
Yeah, I think that if you're just, you know, looking to explore the arts, I would say start in your community. What are the things that are going on there? After that, I would say follow your curiosity. You know, you never know whether it's a painting class or a guitar lesson, where that will take you. And then the last thing would just be to take one day at a time. You know, I think oftentimes people say, how long did it take you to learn that instrument? And you know what? It was practicing a little bit every single day for many, many years.
How do people get in touch with you if they're interested in this holiday program that you've created?
Yeah, so they can head over to masconline.ca, and then my name is Kathryn Patricia Cobbler, and they'll be able to find my listing of concerts there.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it, Kathryn Patricia.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right. As she said, just visit the website. I mean, and there are so many really cool artists, by the way, on that website as well, that you can go through and you can find artists of all different types. We'll be back with more Daytime right after this.